This is a video demonstrating how to show your work for circuit problems. And also, a bonus, I'm actually working out problem number 5 of the homework for you. So if you take a look, what you're going to need to do is you're going to actually have to draw out a very simple diagram of the circuit that you're given and list the values, say E equals 12, I equals 4, and so forth. Then the first thing you're always going to want to do is find R total. And there are going to be 2 ways to find R total. One way, of course, would be to use Ohm's law. You can only do Ohm's law if you know both E and I, and in this case, we do. We know that E is 12 volts, we know that I is 4 amps. So that's the route we're going to go. We can't use the inverse rule because we don't know R3. So we're going to use Ohm's law, which is actually a little bit easier. So I've plugged in my values, 12 divided by 4, and I get an answer of 3 ohms. So that's the total resistance for this circuit. Now I'm going to use that information to find the missing resistor, R3. So now I go to step 2, which is to find R3. I'm going to use the inverse rule. So 1 over R total is equal to 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3. Now I'm going to plug in what I know. I know R total is 3, so I have 1/3 equals. I know R1 is 12, and I know R2 is 12. I don't know R3, so I'm going to leave R3 as the variable. The next thing I'm going to do is find a common denominator. We did this in class. 3 goes into 12 4 times, so I changed my 1/3 into 4 over 12. I'm going to put a box around that. And that's now equal to, on the other side, I can go ahead and add the 1/12 and the 1/12 and call it 2/12. Now I still have my plus 1 over R3 because I'm trying to find R3. So the next step here is to subtract 2/12 on both sides. And what happens then is I get an equation that says 2 over 12 is equal to 1 over R3. Now in the examples we did in class, we didn't have this issue because both sides of the equation had a 1 on the top of the fraction in the numerator. But in this case, we have a 2 on the top. So we cannot make the assumption that R3 is 12, our common denominator, and in fact it will not be because 1 does not equal 2, so we can't just assume that that bottom number, that R3, is a 12. But what we can do is cross multiply. So we're going to cross multiply. And so we're going to do 2 times R3. So I'm going to come down and do 2 times R3. And then I'm going to set that equal to 12 times 1. And so now I have 2R3 equals 12. If I divide by 2 on both sides, I get that R3 is actually 6 ohms. So I hope this helps you in 2 ways. One, that it shows you how to set up these problems and how to show your work properly so that you get full credit. And also now one of the homework problems is done for you. So good luck with the rest, and if you have questions, feel free to email me.